Hello, Gabriel. It's lovely to be with you.
Yes, it's so good to be here with you once again after almost a year since the last time we saw each other.
It is. It is.
How are you, Natalia? How is Natalia after a year of sabbatical?
Oh, Gabriel, I am so well. I am so joyful, and my heart is so beautifully open. But I have to tell you that doesn't mean to say that there are no challenges, and it doesn't mean to say that I'm not growing, because that's inevitable. If you're human, you're going to have to face challenges and you're going to have to grow. But I am so well.
That's wonderful. That's one of the things I love about you, that you're always so true and authentic, and you're always talking about your own personal growth. Because we have this tendency sometimes that when you look at or speak to spiritual teachers, to kind of look at them as people who have arrived, and then therefore they have no problems anymore, like their lives are perfect.
Well, I have to tell you something that it's not quite honest in the way that I think that, if I can do it, then maybe other people will be encouraged and they can do it. And what's the point of not being honest about where you are? Because it's so helpful to others to say that you really are in the SH1T.
Yes, there you go.
You're in the depth of despair,
Yes,
or you're
absolutely.
working with the challenge. And that's part of life.
Yes, absolutely.
We'd get bored if we weren't growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. DeMartini has he says SHET is an acronym that
Yes.
stands for spiritually harmonizing intelligent truth.
Oh, that's very good, isn't
It
it?
gives it a whole different meaning. So what has Natalia have been up to this past year?
Well, I was quite ill at the end of 2010. So I had no option but to take a year off to really rest. And I didn't know how it was going to unfold. I did do a little bit of teaching. I went to Zimbabwe. I went to Mozambique. But what happened was I would get up at about 5 every morning and I'd go to my desk and this book started to flow through me. And it was the most magical experience, Gabriel. I can't tell you, because I'd put my pencil, no, I didn't write with a computer, that came afterwards, down on the paper, and it just never stopped. It would never stop. And I got the sense of these incredible different energies who were kind of overlighting different chapters. And one day there was an incredibly powerful energy there. And I didn't know who it was. It was very unfamiliar. And I said, "Who are you?" And it said, "I am the spirit of the earth." Well, what do you mean? And that was for the chapter on the earth. So my book is called Seize the Day, a guidebook for changing times. And I'm just waiting to hear whether it's accepted by one of the major publishers or not.
Fantastic.
I know.
Wow. Natalia, is this your first book?
It's my first book, but I've written a lot of articles.
Yes,
I've written about 30 articles for Odyssey over the years,
Yeah.
and they have also been published in American journals and so on. So writing, but not a book. I mean, that was really quite something. I can't believe I've done it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then what I did is when I finished the book, then I went into making 12 new meditation CDs. And I've been loving that process too, very creative.
Yes, I love your meditations. You really have the capacity to help people really tune in.
Thank you.
Deeply.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I think that's what we're here for, aren't we? That we're here for our own journeys, but we're also here to be service and messengers for the light. That's how I see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Except when I just bring it back to myself, except when I get in my own way. When I think it has to be a certain way, then I really like become that little gong that we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Is So, Natalia, when we were talking about what we were going to talk about, because the truth is, we can talk about so many things that we could spend days. In fact, we've done that before in the past. I remember I come here for lunch and we just go on from one topic to the next topic. It's one of the things I love about you. But today, I really love it if we could really focus the conversation on this thing called love.
Okay.
I know you recently did a talk on the science of love based on like scientific research, and I love to be able to hear from you what this research is about, and what does this tell you about how you love, and then also I love to hear from you what you think love is ultimately all about right here, right now, when we are, because I think that when we look back at our personal histories, it's like, like good old Shakespeare. We all define love differently depending on our age and where we're at in life. But I'd love to find out for you where you're at. What is love really about? So why don't we begin with this research of the heart, and where was the inspiration? Where did the inspiration come to actually look into the science of the heart?
Okay. Well, one of the major themes in all the teaching today is how the truths of life and people and the universe have been held in the major spiritual teachings right through the ages.
Yeah.
But now what is happening, they're discovering this in science. So there on one side you have spiritual mysticism, on the other side you have science, and they are completely coming together in agreement. So I thought what I'd like to do is I'd like to find out a little bit about this and relate the two together. And the first teaching I came across was about how love creates a coherent field. So if your heart is open and that love is flowing through you, that coherent field means that there's harmony, there's beauty, there's compassion, there's wisdom, there's understanding, there's order, peace. And that's just what we need on the planet at the moment. We cannot go forward until more and more people, there's like a critical mass, are actually centering their consciousness in their heart. Now, this is where it starts to get really interesting. They discovered that the first organ that is built after conception is the heart. And what do you think the second organ is? It's the tongue.
No way, really?
It is. It's the tongue.
Oh, my goodness.
And I keep on thinking about the word, all right? Because the tongue is a flame for truth. And if our voices and our speech is connected with the heart, what a powerful tool for love.
Wow.
But they also discovered that the heart has a group of cells in it which are completely the same as the cells in the brain. All right. But the power in that heart is that if your heart is open, and I'd love you to ask me about the layers in the heart later on. If your heart is open, a wave of love has 5,000 times more power than a wave of thought. It's awesome, isn't it?
Wow.
I mean, you can't really
Powerful.
believe it. And they discovered that what happens is when your heart is open, you radiate a field around you. And they can measure that field without even putting probes on you. They just hold the measuring machine in that field and it can measure the power of that radiance. So I also discovered, and I was absolutely awed to find out this, that the speed of love is slightly faster than the speed of light.
Wow, tell that to Einstein.
Well, I nearly fell over when I actually discovered that.
Goodness.
But just going back to that coherent field, the physical heart has around it 7 layers of muscles. And this is where it starts to get so interesting because it completely corresponds on the spiritual journey, you have 7 initiations into the depth of the heart. Right? And you know how it is. We both know, don't we, Gabriel, how when you close your heart, there's a feeling of tension there. You know, you can get angry, you can get irritable, you can be anxious, you can be fearful. That heart just closes up. And as it closes up, the muscles tense. The muscles actually constrict. So when you start the process of moving into love and believing in love, the first level is just simply a feeling of goodwill to all life, to all beings. And then as the levels deepen and open, so what happens is you find that a person will love maybe one other person, a child, a partner. They will love their pet. They will love something, but it'll just be one. And gradually from that exclusivity, the love broadens to become more inclusive. And the time comes where we make a decision to be responsible for the opening of our heart and to keep it open in all circumstances as long as we are able to do that. All right? And this is where the journey is so sore, because very often to open to another level of love, and I'm speaking from experience here, it's what Rumi talks about. You have a grape, and the grape has to be squashed for the juice to come out. And that is so often when we experience such pain in relationships, in the breakup of relationships. And it's all to do, always, with opening that heart. So on that further journey, you start to make a decision to love everything. And gradually, that love you start to see in everybody and in everything. But God is still outside, all right? And you are in awe of all the miracles of creation and the beauty and the glory that is out there. But actually, there's still really no way in. You know that God creates miracles, does amazing things. There's no way in. So then comes the time when God becomes the most intimate, loving friend. And finally, which is the stage of the enlightened ones, all the masters that have lived on the planet and who still live and guide us in spirit, where you actually realize the love is within you totally. And the love within you is God.
Yes.
You are not the God,
right.
You know. You are a perfect expression of divine creativity. And that is when you can't become self-realized. Can I go on?
Yeah, we're going to, what I want to say is that, so what you're basically describing is what many of the traditions talk about as that divine marriage with your beloved, with your inner beloved, that sacred marriage. That's right. that I think ultimately is what begins the spiritual journey, even before we're aware, when we're trying to find our wholeness, our completeness in a partner. So when we depend on this love that we think is outside, ultimately we're seeking that final union with that heart.
Absolutely. Yeah. But unfortunately, what we do is we create so much pain for ourselves, because ultimately it can only be found within, not in another person.
Right. We are looking in the wrong place.
We're always looking in the wrong place. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be taking a quick break, and when we come back, I really want to touch upon this whole thing on heartbreak. All right. Okay, welcome back. You're listening to Gabriel Gonzalez here at Love Town, and today I am speaking love with spiritual teacher and author Natalia Baker. And before we left on this break, we were talking about how to heal a broken heart, and Natalia was sharing with us how the heart has these 7 layers, and it's our ability, or our spiritual journey is really about learning to open our heart more and more as we deepen our path, so that we begin to love everybody. So in this context, Natalia, how do anybody who might be listening to us, who might be suffering from heartbreak, how do you then heal a broken heart?
Gabriel, it's one of those things that is just such an individual journey, right? I know, for instance, that I was married for 30 years, and when my husband died, I healed my heart very quickly after that. But I did have a purpose, and I was getting on with my work, and that helped hugely. That didn't mean to say that I forgot about him. And what was the most amazing thing is that he's around me a lot now. He's one of my guides, and I just feel this incredible love with him, which I didn't feel when we were distracted in our earthly life all the time. Do you know, by finances and work and schedules and what you had to do. But in the process of healing, let's come back to this. It is so individual. Some people, like if somebody dies, it takes a year before they even start to feel themselves, and 2 years before they can actually integrate back fully into their lives. So nobody can say how it would be or how long it would be. I know with one relationship I had, first of all, I didn't grieve, and because I just had to get on with living and everything. And and then I got very, very ill because I didn't express that grief and that loss, and it ended up in my lungs, which became very infected all the organs around it. But another relationship that I had, and each relationship is so unique, and it teaches you something different. When that broke up, I cried every day for a year. But the gift of that was that it truly cracked open my heart to the deepest levels of my consciousness that I am capable of at the moment. So it's always a matter of, when you look at the bigger picture, that you can actually see that everything has purpose and everything is moving towards the growth for us to become the perfection of who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if I was looking at those periods of grief, and I thought, I'm thinking now, what helped me? Actually, to be truthful, Gabriel, the only thing that helped me was meditation and saying the affirmations of the divine I am, presence. Those were the only things that gave me any comfort. So it's very, very individual, very individual.
Yeah. And it sounds from what you're saying that it's a process that we all have to go through in order to be able to move into the next layer of our heart. Right. And that's why it's sort of like breaks. We need to break that first layer to get to that second or that third layer. It's beautiful. It gives a whole different meaning to what it means to be heartbroken.
Yes. But nobody must ever say that it's not painful.
Of course. It is the feeling
it's
organ.
Absolute agony. It's agony. Yes, okay. But I feel very, very much for people, because I see so many people looking for love outside. Yeah. And I often want to say to them, just stop. It's within you. Go within. And if you do the work within, of course, what happens is the reflection out there starts to become more harmonious and helpful to you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Natalia, what else have you discovered in this research about the heart?
All right. I discovered this. I get so excited about this, Gabriel.
I can tell. You get
so
juicy
sorry.
and I can see you bubbling.
Juicy.
Yes.
What they discovered is that when your heart is open, now you've got a heart chakra. All right, and when they talk about all the research that they've done, it's actually on the physical, with its 7 levels. But the divine point is both in the heart chakra and in the physical heart, and they are completely related. And I think that as the heart chakra opens, so you shift into the divine point in the physical heart. They found that an arc of energy comes out of that divine point in the physical heart. and it forms into a torus, not Taurus, a Torus, and that is like a donut-shaped geometric form that forms around the heart. Now, as that heart opens more and grows, so that torus moves from below the torso to above the head.
Okay.
All right. Now, they also discovered there's a torus around the planet, and there's a torus around the solar system, and there's a torus around the galaxy, and they think there might be a torus around the universe. Right?
Yeah.
But this is the point about the torus. It is it's a holistic model. So wherever you are, at whatever point in that torus, you are able to know what's happening at anywhere else. So this is the meaning of love, because when your heart is open and you are in that love, you are interconnected and interdependent with everything else. All is love. All is God.
Wow.
So then what you do is you look at these mystical teachings that have said this forever, and there it is in science, proven in science. But the other thing that is so fascinating is that, they've had this teaching about the golden mean, the golden ratio, the golden section. And the golden section is its duration and pressure is 1.618. And that is the perfect vibration and frequency of love. And it applies to music, it applies to geometry, maths, architecture, art, people's expression of themselves when they're in that perfect ratio. And I was reading about a woman who wanted to build a house, and she had no idea about what design to do. And one day she's walking on the beach and she picks up this shell and she sees the spiral. And she says, I'm going to base the architecture of my house on this spiral. And she's lived in that house now for about 10 years. And she says the experience of harmony, of love, of accord, of peace is quite extraordinary. So that ratio goes into all nature. It goes into the vegetables we eat. It goes into the fruit we eat. It goes in the flower. It goes into the shape of a tree. And it just comes back again to everything is love. Now, when our hearts are open, and this is where I just go over the top, Gabriel, I can't help it, you see. Sorry. We give out a radiance which affects everything around us. Everything is picking up that love. If you look at artists and photographers, how they say they go to a place and the light is so special, it's because of the love. And other places have darkness because there isn't love, right?
Yeah.
So there you are. You're wandering down the street and your heart is open and you give out a resonance which is like this. When we are in our emotions or we are in our minds, then we give a resonance. Clonk.
Yes.
And what I want to
if you
just
hit my
say,
head, that's how it would sound.
Oh, we're having fun here. What I want to say is that resonance draws to you everything in the universe because you are resonating with everything that is out there that is oneness. We're the only planet that the people have lost their way, right, and moved out of love, right? But when you are in the clonk resonance, you don't attract you. So when you're in the divine resonance, then you have all spirit around you. You have all the angels, the archangels, the masters, who all come to serve you. But they're not interested in the ego stuff. They're not interested in the mind. We have to show that we are committed to grow and expand, and they'll be there. You know what I've often thought about? The whole business of the work we do on ourselves. It's an investment. And for every investment, you get a reward.
Right.
So that's my thinking.
It's beautiful. You know, as I was listening to you, it came to me that we always hear that we're made in the image and likeness of the divine or of God. And this, you know, it makes so much sense. If that is the nature of the universe, you know, of love, then we're also made out of that. And our journey is that journey of awakening and expressing that love.
And define
awakening, you know, the whole image of the fetus, you know, like having first a heart and then a tongue.
Yes.
It's about awakening, but then expressing it.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I feel that, you see, it's so interesting because in the East, people follow a master and they're dedicated to the master. In the West, that the master is a representative of God. All right, now it's true. Any master, an enlightened soul, is a representative of God. He still has his divine, unique note, as we all have, all right? But in the West, what we are trying to do on our journey is we are trying to find that master within. And there is no way any of us can go on the path of ascension until our hearts are open.
It makes sense.
Doesn't it make
Otherwise,
sense,
we
doesn't it?
bypass it.
We completely bypass it, yeah. And that process of ascension and love has to come right into us. It has to come into our bodies. You know, Gabriel, one of the things that I discovered about myself, and it wasn't so long ago, a couple of years ago, was the degree to which I judge myself. You know, if the old me would have sit down after this interview and judge. You know, how did I do that? Wasn't good enough. That's not good. Well, that's nonsense. That has to go because it's really understanding that it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you think. You are loved anyway. We are loved anyway. And part of our journey is opening up to receive that love, to be open to receive that love. And I love that knowledge, because if I do something which I judge as being wrong or inappropriate or not helpful to somebody or whatever, you know, and they're like the things like that can come up all day, I just say, oh, well, so what? And get on with things. So what? I'm loved anyway.
Yeah. One of my mentors says it's like, so what, now what?
So what, now what? Yeah, that's
so
very
like
good.
You get
that's
the next inspired step.
That's very good. That's very good.
You know, this whole thing about this field of love I find so fascinating. I've had this really interesting experience in my house, that place where I stay. I've been there for 3 years now. And I've noticed that, you know, the place in the evenings is full of geckos, like, you know, those little lizards on the wall, and they're beautiful. Yeah. But for some reason, it was this year that they started making it inside of my place. Like the past 2 years, they never came inside. They never came. They always kind of like stayed out there, and I was inside. But this year, I'm noticing they come. They're close to my bed. When I'm sitting on my couch, I see them on the wall. They get very close. And what I've been telling myself is something in me has shifted. Yeah. That these little creatures are feeling love and close to me. So something has shifted. And I don't know, I wanted to ask you, like, is that an expression that I'm just maybe just opening my heart because of the work that I've been doing?
I think that love, well, you are opening your heart because of the love, the work you're doing. Yeah. Me too. You see,
we are.
Both of us are in the... But what I think is quite extraordinary, I think the love is growing everywhere on the planet.
Wow.
Now, Gabriel, you don't take your reality from the television and the newspapers, because those are involved with the old energy and old consciousness and things. But if you feel it, you see, I've always believed that for every act of crime or abuse or violence or whatever, there are a million acts of kindness. Do you know that are happening everywhere? You only have to come across an accident and know the number of people who are there to help each other and support each other. It's quite incredible. Yeah. But there's something out. There's something else here that I don't know about you, but I get the most incredible number of clips on my email, and they show the things that in the past would have been opposite, animals being together. Like somebody sent me a tiger and he's got a bowl of water or something, and there's a mouse drinking the water, and he's quite comfortable. And you've got lions with deers and rabbits with antelopes and all sorts of mixtures of animals. Yeah. Well, I think that it's because the love is increasing.
Yeah, that I feel completely. Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I think the question still remains. Like, I stopped watching television completely.
Yeah,
completely. I don't watch TV. I get my news from Google News, and I go when I want to. It's my choice, and I go and look at, I think, more reliable sources like Al Jazeera and whatnot. But nevertheless, I just stopped. And I'm in just because I agree with you. We are right now. There's a new energy, and we are co-creating the new. But if we put a lot of attention on the old, that doesn't mean like ignore the old.
No,
but it's almost like a stand on what you're building, but in the midst of the old.
Yeah.
But what would you recommend to somebody who might be listening to this, as to what they can do to move into that space consciously? But hey, you cannot deny your reality. You cannot deny you have bills to pay, that there's accidents, that murders are being committed all the time, that there's a war in Afghanistan. How do you do that?
Well, I believe that we have to be informed. All right. But I believe we have absolute choices as to how we direct our energy and how we have an attitude towards things. You see, in South Africa, we are all of us are very upset about the degree of nepotism and corruption and money laundering and all these things. I can go on and on and on forever about it, all right. But every time we think a judgmental, negative, critical thought about those things, we are adding to it. All right. And I think that we have got enough to focus on our own. All right. Now, can I give you, are we loving in every moment? Are we being conscious every moment? Are we being present every moment? That's enough of a task. Can I just tell you a short story? Have I got time?
Yeah, sure. We have time.
We've time. I was asked to counsel a little boy the other day. And I was very reluctant to do it because I said, I feel that children are quite specialized and I don't have that specialist knowledge. So the mother said, please, 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 and would you please counsel his little friend as well? Now, these are 6 years old. They've just moved into Form 1, and I saw them separately for an hour each. And what the story turns out, which I got from the mothers, not from them, because children don't speak so specifically about this, they loved school. They couldn't wait to get to school. They'd arrive at the car and they'd run out and say goodbye to their mothers. They can go now, you see. And confident, intelligent, creative, spontaneous, they go into Form 1 and they don't want to go to school. They have lost all their confidence. They've lost all their creativity. Tears at having to get into the car to go to school. And what it turns out is that they've got a teacher. And she is so strict. She's ruthless, right? And they've lost their confidence. They can't function.
Wow.
Now, the mothers are so with it and aware that they're actually taking action now and doing and actually making sure that that pattern doesn't get stuck in those children so they take it in to the rest of their lives.
Of course, yeah.
But it's lack of love. It's lack of love. And probably, because I had that too at one stage, a fear of not being able to keep control over the children, not realizing that when you have love, it's so much more powerful. Anyway, I worked with these children and I gave them some techniques. And I said, you are now a magician. But you mustn't talk about magicians. Magicians don't talk about being magicians, you see. They were so excited. And the feedback I got from the mothers is that it has been quite extraordinary. They've really made the shift. But I think that is lack of love. You see, they would never have come to see me if their teachers had been in the heart. The teacher had been in the heart.
Right. So it is more, more. I think more than, of course, it's equally important for every person, but I think specifically people who are working with children, who are our future, they need to be working with their hearts open. They have to. They have to.
And Gabriel, just because you've got your heart open doesn't mean to say you become weak, wishy-washy, or walk over.
No.
All right? You have still be firm. The children can still respect for you, and they can still actually do what they're told to do.
And children specifically, they respond to that because they respond like animals. They respond to the energy more than the actual words.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so powerful.
Absolutely.
Okay, when we come back from this brief break, we'll continue this conversation with Natalia Baker about love. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Gabriel Gonçalves, and I'm here in Lovetown with spiritual teacher Natalia Baker. Natalia, before we went on this break, we're talking about different ways in which people can begin to do this work of opening the heart. And we talked about the specific case of this teacher at school and how she was affecting her student.
Yes.
What are some of the other ways in which you help people, or that you would suggest that people can actually take this work of opening their own heart?
You see, one of the things is that you have to be ruthlessly honest with yourself. That's the foundation of it. And one of the saddest things is that I found is that there's such a paucity, such a lack of knowledge about how to deal with things. Now, if I give you an example, I've just run a course, and there was one woman in the course who got a terrible reaction against somebody else, another of the participants, and she said she just didn't know how to work with it, all right? And there are ways now, if you seek it, you go onto internet, they can phone me, ask you,
Sure.
all right? But there are processes which you can do which are short processes, which don't just heal things temporarily. They actually heal things permanently. Like I've got a process for charges, for releasing the charges that you get. And it's absolutely amazing. And in 5-10 minutes, you can change a pattern that you've had for life. All right. And, you keep calling me a spiritual teacher. I don't like that word spiritual too much because I feel that we want to embrace everything.
Of course.
Everything has God in it.
Yep.
Sex, food,
Absolutely.
wine, everything, But, there is a story about this chap who wants to go to meet God. So he goes up into the mountains and he sits in the mountains for a couple of years meditating on God. And one day he decides that what he's going to do is going to come down to the town on a Saturday morning, and the town it's market day. And it's full of people and they're shouting and jostling and bargaining and arguing and everything. And somebody knocks into him and he loses his temper. And he's nowhere. And there, all that spirituality just went down the sewer.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
Yeah, because he hasn't done the work on himself.
Right.
So reaching God and finding the deepest expression of love is accompanied by that self-work, that self-honesty. And that's the path that never stops, Gabriel. It just goes on. I call it the work.
Yes, that is
the
freaking work.
That is, what a naughty word.
Yes. Well, it's I came across the other day with this expression that says that anything that gives light must endure the burning.
Yes.
It's about
That's
that.
brilliant,
Anything
Gabriel.
that wants to give love must endure the burning. Of learning to be authentic and brutally honest, even if it means pain.
I know.
Facing that pain, or the discomfort of being.
I know. But they often say that one of the hardest steps in life is opening the heart. Do you know? Because you move from a solar plexus consciousness, which is the seat of the left brain, all right, to feeling things energetically.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I think one of the hardest steps is actually to open the throat, the center of communication, because that is accompanied with so much fear. If I speak my truth, will I be abandoned? Will I be rejected? Will I be criticized, judged? All these things, you know. Yeah. So, no, it's the work that is so important with the love. And actually, until we do the work, we can't love properly. Can we?
Yeah, I'm realizing that more and more, that, my definition of love as I'm doing this work, I realize that my definition of love was so limited in the past. So limited. Yes.
You see, love is so much been associated with one-to-one relationships, and it's not. And, Gabriel, there's so many people who are not wanting relationships today. They're on their own, and they have an incredible opportunity to reach the heights of love with themselves, with God, with their higher selves, with their soul, which very often you can't do if you are with somebody in partnership, in a relationship. It might sound odd, but I am so happy and privileged and blessed to actually be now, at this time of my life, on my own. Because now I can do all that work and connect with who I really am, my divine higher self.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. But it is, I do feel it's still a two-sided coin, that, that being in an intimate relationship with somebody also helps you, like, open up those different layers of your heart. Mostly because I think a lot of people, we come into relationship, we attract each other unconsciously to help each other heal a lot of those things that when we're a little kid, either through our parenting, we're hurt inside of us, or we felt disconnected. So it's, but I also feel, in your case, you've been in those relationships already where you've had the opportunity to heal. But I think it's about both.
I think it's about both. I think what happens in any particular time in life, we get what is perfect for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. And perfect for us.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I've been single since I came to Cape Town, and I teach a lot. Of course, my work is about love, and a lot of people come up to me and say, "Well, why are you not in a relationship, Mr. Love?" And I say, because I'm really working on my own love and my capacity to first love myself, and this is what this journey has been about. Yes. And the time will come when I'm sure that relationship will come, and then I'll experience a different or a deeper side of love. But right now, I'm okay with being where I am.
But well, I mean, it's food for another whole
sure,
talk.
Of course,
but actually, the more that you can love yourself, the more that will be reflected in that relationship, which will be one of deep love and harmony.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All starts with us. Yeah, individually.
It all starts with us and gaining that level of authenticity that is, I believe, really our connection with the heart. So I know you got some workshops coming up. I know you have a workshop on the authentic self. So could you tell us a little bit more about the upcoming workshops that you have?
Well, I'm running a morning and an evening authentic power, what I call the authentic self course, which is subtitled "To Be or Not to Be."
That's the actress in you.
That's the actress in me. And that starts on Tuesday, the 10th of April, and it's once a week for 6 weeks. Okay. And it's really about, you see, I feel that each person is a gift to the world. Yeah. But they're not a gift if they're working from masks and fears and anxieties and all these sort of things. It's that authentic, divine essence which is the gift to the world. So this course is about finding it, and it's about stripping away the layers so that you can really come to that. And the layers are getting rid of the fear so you can speak your truth. Looking at where are you leaking energy? Why do you leak energy in that relationship, to your boss, to that situation that you see on television? Collecting that energy into that essence that is you. Then it's also about balancing your 4 bodies. Because if your bodies are not in balance, you cannot be in that authentic self. If your emotions are guiding you, you're on a roller coaster, all right? Yeah. And it's about learning to come from choice and decision in every moment. and a whole lot of other things. But people really shift on that course. And then on the Wednesday evening, that's the 11th of April, I'm running an abundance course now, abundance and prosperity. Now, it is not about learning the tools of how to manifest, because if you did that, you could go to 100,000 books on the shelves, and most people understand that intellectually. It's about you and how you plug in to the source of abundance and prosperity, because prosperity and abundance is who you are. All right. So we do a whole lot of stripping away of all the illusions on that course. We look at our relationship with money. We look at how we're using our speech patterns. It's terribly important, because until your speech patterns are ordered and controlled, they're terribly powerful. They actually bounce into every cell in the body if you keep saying, I'm worried I'm not going to have enough at the end of the month. Right? Yeah. And then also what happens is that we work on that course with our relationship with our fathers, healing that, because the father is the sample we have for being a manifester. We look at our relationship with the field, the coherent field. We work with our heart, all those kind of things.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, so ultimately, a lot of the work, it seems to me, is really about teaching people how to open their hearts, so that or plugging into the greater Taurus of the universe, as you were saying, so that from that place, then you attract. But it also sounds like it's really about doing the healing, the inner healing work that needs to be done.
It is.
And so these workshops, who would you say they're for? What kind of people? People who are experiencing what right now?
Well, I would say that they are for anybody who's committed to having the fullest expression of themselves in this life, who are prepared to do the work on themselves. And it's not heavy. I mean, my courses are fun. We have a lot of fun with them, and they work and they move, and we do a whole lot of variety of stuff, you know. And also, one of the things on my courses is that we have very deep meditations, because meditations change the consciousness of people. But I would say to anybody who, like, for instance, who's not in their authentic power, you know, come and do that course and start to experience yourself and understand what it's about, and come into your precious self.
Beautiful.
And abundance and prosperity. You see, Gabriel, the problem today is that because time is speeding up, because the energies are getting so powerful, we're in a chaos node. If you don't get your issues of abundance and prosperity sorted out, you're going to go through a very, very difficult time. So do it before the 21st of December 2012.
Yes.
Oh, we don't know what's going to happen.
Buy your tickets now before the 21st of December. Yeah. So Natalia, how can people find out more about these workshops, or also about working with you? And are you seeing clients one-on-one now that you're
Well,
back
I don't have much time for that, but I do see the odd person.
Okay.
And not that the person has to be odd, but I mean,
yes.
occasional person.
Well, you're seeing me, so.
No, but I have a website, which is www.nataliabaker.com, and my email address is info@nataliabaker.com. And some people say Natalie Baker, but it is Natalia, and I'm very proud of those 3 A's. And my telephone number, can I give that, Gabriel?
Sure.
Is 021 788 2900.
Well, there you go. I will also be posting all of this information below on the podcast with links to her website, and then also to her upcoming workshops. Natalia, a final word or final thought that you can share about this topic of love with our listeners.
You know, many people are going through very, very difficult time, right, at the moment. I don't know about you, but there's so many people, for instance, around me who are dying, who are ill, who are in crisis, right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, "Come to me. I am love. I will alleviate your burdens." And it is the most magical experience. But when your heart is open, you find the solution for every problem. You know exactly what to say to somebody which is appropriate, healing, supportive. You know how to act. You see, Gabriel, today we have to go more and more using the heart as our guidance system, using our intuition. If I go to the bank, I tune first into my heart. Is it the right time to go? If my heart says no and it feels like it's closing up, it means don't go, because you'll have to wait for 3 hours in a queue.
Sure.
If it opens up, I'll go and I'll be 5 minutes in and out, right? I have a friend who has invested her money on the guidance from her heart, and she is done very successfully.
Wow. Okay, well,
So
I want her
about
phone
that.
number soon.
You do it yourself.
Yes,
You
there
don't
you
need her phone number.
Well,
Okay.
Natalia, it's been an absolute pleasure and so lovely to be able to come
you,
and
Gabriel.
spend time with you and to not only reconnect, but also to hear all this wonderful news of your upcoming book, your workshops, and most importantly, everything that I found a tremendous amount of value of everything that you shared about your research on your heart, and mostly just for being part of this presence, because you radiate that love that you talk about. So thank you so much for giving me space and time to be able to participate in your love field. Okay, so
Gabriel, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege to be with you.